All right, hello, welcome to the podcast, the very first one of Laughing the Pain,
Laughing
laughing
through the
through.
pain, navigating
Mistake number
wellness.
one.
Yeah,
That was painful.
we'd like to cover off who we are and why we're doing this because we've been asked muchly in private. I'll kick off. I'm Andrew Esam. I work in London. Some of you may have heard of it. I enjoy creative writing, pina coladas, getting caught in the rain, and of course, I have an interest in wellness, which brings me here. In terms of credentials, mine are extremely limited. I do have a degree in psychology and I have a curiosity, which I think is enough. Rich, who are you?
Richard L. Blake coming at you. No, that's cringe. But there's going to be a fair few cringe things that we're going to say, and yeah, I'm okay with that. AKA the Breath Geek. I am PhD candidate in psychology. I teach breathwork. I'm currently just writing up the results of the world's largest ever randomized control trial on conscious connected breathwork. I'm a biohacker. I'm an amateur CrossFit athlete, and I have a very obsessive passion for biohacking and wellness and psychology and things like that. And basically, for the last 10 to 15 years, I've been diving deep into all things wellness, and people have just kept on nagging me to be like, when are you going to do your podcast? You know, it's about time, Richard. Why are you wasting all your time hoarding all this information? It's now time to start spreading some of the stuff, just
Absolutely.
share it. Exactly.
So as you can see, I'm really
and
I'm carrying Rich here with all his credentials. Actually, we went on a trip in September 2022, which was ended in an untimely and horrendous fashion, which we will go into in later. But I did feel a little bit like, and I don't know if I can use this because he's such a god, but I did feel a little bit like Louis Theroux in terms of thinking, what are these practices you keep? Like, who are these people? What are these alternatives? Why bother investing so much time and money into this stuff? What are the alternatives to established wisdom? And I sort of feel like I dip in and out of it. So I think that I'm just going to follow my curiosity, as I said earlier. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, I think that's going to be good. Andy, is going to be there to be the listener in some regards, asking the questions that some of our experts might not think because of the curse of knowledge. They assume people know things when not everyone does. And Andy has got that very useful perspective. He's also very funny. I don't know if you noticed that. He will show that at some point. We'll get to that.
I like that I've been put forward to the antidote to knowledge. But to be fair, it is an overwhelming subject. And I think that I'm probably more representative of the mainstream than you are in terms of I dip in and out. I'm not as committed to this stuff. I don't have the information at my fingertips. But I also, in terms of that, I think it is also important to keep things light. I think I've seen a lot of people who take this very, very seriously and are almost dogmatic about it and evangelical. And I think, it's supposed to wellness is supposed to keep you well. So I think it's important to keep sight of that. So we're not experts. Is that fair to say, Rich?
Yeah.
I mean, you might roll your eyes at that. But in many ways, that's the point, right?
I'm an expert. I'm an expert.
You're an expert in all of wellness. You can't be.
Oh no, I'd say I'm an expert in some things, though. I think so. That's why people keep asking me questions as if I'm an expert. At least all the people that ask me questions have made me think I'm an expert. But yeah, certainly there are people who are 100 times more expert than me in many, many topics. And what you're saying about the wellness industry and its issues. Yeah, some of this, the reason we're doing this podcast is to kind of curtail some of the growth of the wellness industry. Not curtail it, but shape it. Because as people know, snake oil salesmen have been around for hundreds of years, and that whole snake oil thing was maybe that was the birth of the wellness industry. People selling things that don't really work, overhyping them and tricking vulnerable people into parting with their money. And that's what we are going to be trying to help people with is avoid some of the rubbish, the nonsense, the overhype, the unscrupulous stuff. And yeah, certainly I think with biohackers, like you said, some people can get quite like cultish about this, and it becomes their religion. Was that G.K. Chesterton quote saying, when you take away religion, someone will believe in anything. And I think a lot of people have started believing like, their EMF protection is gonna, take them
What
to
does
heaven
EMF
or
stand
things
for
like
again,
that.
Rich? Electromagnetic fields,
Uh, uh,
frequencies? Fields.
Frequencies, yeah, we'll get
Frequencies. I
into
was
more
so
of that.
close.
Frequencies,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
get into that in the
Well,
future at some point.
of course, we won't be alone for this journey, will we, Rich? I don't think that would be fair on our audience. So from next week or next episode, we'll be joined by some learned, exceptional guests to help us on the way. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But who is it for, Rich?
Yeah, who is it for? It's for people who want to learn about wellness, people who want to know about breath work. I think it's also a lot for breath work practitioners and wellness practitioners and nutritionists, people who are actually practicing, who want to have that sort of, they already know that this stuff works. We're not going to be trying to convince people that like eating a healthy diet or doing exercise is good. Hopefully the people who are listening to this already know that, but these people are that they want to know, okay, what's the longest lever, what things really make a difference, and what things are a bit of a waste of money or only marginal. And often, for who is an intervention right, and at what time is an intervention right. So going into more of the nuances there. So for general people who are interested in health and wellness. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think I see it as sort of anyone who has even a passing interest in wanting to improve emotional state, physical state, spiritual awareness, social connections. I mean, obviously we're not going to be able to touch all of those things in one episode, but I think that has got to be the aim. And I think it will encompass all of those in the fullness of time. And as I said, it's supposed to be lighthearted. It's supposed to, not be intimidated. I think it's fair to say Rich will probably judge you, but I definitely won't. And I'm happy to join you all in the beginner's circle and learn with you.
Yeah, that is one of the functions of the podcast, is so I can judge people en masse, because judging individuals is not enough for me.
Yeah. I remember a couple of instances on the road trip where I would sort of walk in and I'd be smelling of, let's just say, mainstream deodorant, and I'd just get this glare from you, and I knew that I was in trouble. So it'd be nice to spread that about a bit and actually sort of, add some scorn to other people, and people will write in and you can just dismiss them as imbeciles. That'd be quite fun. So yeah,
I'm sure that'd be fun for everyone. Yeah.
So we want beginners, experts, skeptics, realists, professionals. We'll take the lot, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah, we're niching right down.
What to expect? That's a good question.
Yeah,
obviously,
what to expect. So
topics we've set out.
Yeah, fairly broad, but I would say mainly encompassing our interests. I guess some of the reason we're doing this podcast, or some of the reason I'm doing this podcast, is to learn from people I'm actually interested in learning from. And I have a few passions, not just wellness. So hopefully we will keep things broad and keep the guests entertained. Sorry, the listeners entertained.
Yeah,
and. Yeah, I think also we should expect a little bit of critique. As I say, some people may come on and just expect to just give an advertisement for whatever it is they're selling, and I feel like that's basically what a lot of podcasts are, is just long adverts where people get to just sell and not necessarily make up, but maybe exaggerate some of their claims. And I think I'm going to try and be holding people accountable to stay truthful, and maybe challenge some of the people on some of their assertions. And being a PhD candidate, I am an evidence-based person. I do like to do my research, and of course there are limitations to the scientific method, but yeah, I'm gonna try not to let people off when
I was going to say, don't make it awkward. I don't want to be sat there as some sort of mediator, just sort of watching you bicker. I'll try and keep. I'll tell you what. I'll try and keep
Yeah,
them
I mean,
sweet.
that's not
You
fun.
can just go in hard on them. That's what we'll go for.
Good cop, bad
Um,
cop.
yeah,
Good
exactly.
cop,
Yeah,
bad cop. Yeah.
yeah. But let's remember also, and I think like this came out when I was in a few conversations that like it's quite a privilege to be able to discuss these things, and it's supposed to be like a kind of you know an ad. It's supposed to be something that kind of gives something back, I suppose, in terms of ultimately you're trying to improve people's existence, which I think is a noble aim. Um,
Yes.
so yeah,
And I also think that vulnerable people need to be protected from some experts who are maybe looking out for themselves and their own pockets rather than the best interests of the consumers.
okay.
So I'm
And
going to be
so
championing the consumer, if you like, the people's
championing the
champ.
consumer. Wow, the people's champ. Okay, that's bold. I like it.
No,
Um,
yeah, no, I think I might take it back actually.
yeah, I'm getting like Batman and Robin vibes, where I'm just, or no, maybe like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, where I just sort of follow around and
No,
like do
Batman and
admin.
Robin is great.
Okay, Batman
Batman
and
and
Robin.
Robin is great. We're the Batman and Robin of the wellness industry. That's it. That's what
Okay.
they'll call us.
Okay, excellent. So, weekly, I think there'll be some weekly features. I'm thinking, I mean, a lot of them will be revealed, partly because they haven't been determined yet. But I do want to do Andy's wellness tip for the week. You probably expect that to come from Rich, but as you've probably gathered, he's pretty close-minded about these things, and he would say that I'm gullible, but actually, I've just got a really, really open mind. So I'm going to be presenting a wellness tip for the week, and we can discuss that. And I will have done my research, so watch out.
Okay, good. Other one we're going to do is BS of the week, and
Ooh.
I'm going to regale you with a story of some BS, some grade A life coaching industry BS. So you've heard this one
What?
before, Andy, but the listeners obviously won't have.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, I was
Yeah,
going to
you
say,
know,
what happens if my wellness tip for the week is also BS? Then we've effectively got two BSs of the week. But I suppose that's okay, isn't it?
2 for 1
Okay.
bargain.
All right.
It's yeah, great value for the listeners then because they're
Fair
saving
enough.
time. It's
So have you
two
got,
in
okay,
one.
give us, you've obviously got loads of examples in mind. Give us an example of BS of the week, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And I'm
So,
going to decide if
uh,
this is BS or not, because you're putting the case forward. I'm going to be the judge. Off you go.
all right. So a little while ago, I got a little email in my email inbox that said, "Congratulations, Richard L. Blake. You have been nominated as one of our top 10 life coaches of the year." And I was
Whoa.
like, this is big,
Are you a
especially as
life
I'm not a
coach?
life coach. But okay, no, I'm not a life
Okay.
coach. I am certified as a life coach, and I was a life coach for a very short amount of time before I sort of
Okay.
saw the error of my ways there. So I went back to them. I was like, wow, I can't believe you nominated me. I'm so thankful. What was it that made you want me to be on your top 10 list? And they were just like, we just really like what you're putting out there. And I was like, yeah, me too. It's good stuff what I'm putting out there. Thanks. Anything in particular that you like that I'm putting out there? And they were just like, yeah, those articles. I was like, oh yeah, my articles. Some of them are really good, actually. Was there anyone in particular? And I just kept sort of going back and forwards, being like, anything in the article that you liked? Until eventually they're just like, look, it's $500. Do you want to be on this list or not?
Ah, right. Okay. I was going to say,
And
what's the kicker?
obviously,
Because
yeah,
it seems
yeah,
like quite a kind thing to do. Maybe you could have put that at the bottom of your, I don't know, email signature. Rich Blake, top 10
yeah.
life coaches, presumably in the world.
I would think I'm one of the top 10 life coaches in the world. Yeah, it's not a very high standard. So yeah.
Oh,
But the reason I
bitchy.
share this story is, oh yeah, exactly. The reason I share this is because the life coaching industry is completely unregulated. It is the Wild West. And there are a lot of people who have done weekend courses and they are giving people advice on their mental health when they have absolutely no business giving people advice on their mental health without the proper qualifications, licensure, and oversight. So, I mean, this is what will probably happen. They probably will get 10 life coaches who are like, oh, brilliant. Yeah, I'm going to be on the top 10 list. And they're going to put that on their website and their email signature. And someone who knows nothing about the life coaching industry is going to go in to their email and be like, oh, wow, this person's one of the top 10 best life coaches in the world. I'm definitely giving them my money and signing up for their 20 package incubator course to improve my life, my orgasmic awakening program, or whatever it is. And that's BS, because they're clearly not the top 10 best life coach in the world, and there's no way for the consumer to know until Laughing Through the Pain comes along and rescues them.
As you know, I'm the judge of that, and I think that does sound like BS, to be fair. But in their
Good. Ding, 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 ding.
They wouldn't send that email to me. They wouldn't send that to someone who wasn't a life coach at a period in time. But I suppose that is a bit disingenuous and not particularly okay. So yeah, okay, I'll put that in the BS box of the week or whatever. It used to be Room 101, didn't it? That was a good show. Okay, the BS box of the week.
Oh yeah,
we're going to put whatever company that was, top 10 life coaches of the year.
Yeah, I'm not going to name them, but if you ever see someone with nominated as a top 10 list, you might want to delve a little bit deeper into that.
Swerve. Okay. Okay, mate. Why do we need this? $1 million question here. I think you said it best.
Well,
the world
I'll tell
needs.
you why I need to do this is because I get a lot of messages from my friends and followers on Instagram being like, what do you think about this product? Should I do this? I've discovered this thing. They're claiming this thing. And instead of me just sending a message just to one person, I can send a podcast and it'll go out to many people. And I can say, hey, thanks for that question. Go listen to the podcast. I've researched your question and spoken about it in this podcast. So that's why I need it, to save myself some time from answering people's questions for free.
So maybe it's more just this, you and I need this. No one actually needs this. We need this. But actually, I think you also said this, you feel that there's a real dearth in the market for white, middle-class, privileged individuals behind a microphone creating a platform.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, really, we need more straight, white, cisgendered, middle-class men in their 30s doing podcasts, because
Absolutely.
What are we going to do without them? We need to get those numbers up.
I actually went to dinner with my old boss the other night. He'll be listening. It was delicious, thank you. I didn't know his 20-year-old daughter would be back. I guess she was on a break from uni. And I didn't actually tell her anything about this. But she volunteered during the evening that she thought that white men should be banned from buying microphones. So, I mean, luckily we weren't banned. We have bought microphones. So suck it up, buttercup. Here's another one. But it was just it was so curious. I was like, I don't know enough about the statistics about who's doing podcasts, but she was completely adamant that there should be no more of what we're creating. So there we go. Yeah, one fan.
Well, let's hopefully she doesn't get into any sort of position of government and we go back into some kind of 1984 totalitarian dictatorship where we're being banned from podcasting. Sounds a little bit prejudiced, if I might say.
That was one of the few comments that made me feel wildly uncomfortable to be there, but I was invited, so I thought I'd stick around and see what she had to say. But actually, going back to your,
I wonder what she would say if that was directed at a different group, like let's say it was a person of a different color or a different gender, and it was someone else saying that else.
Yeah, I just thought it was very strange that she didn't actually know that I was doing it, and she just volunteered that out of the blue. But to your point, I think the other thing I'm really looking forward to in my kind of exploration journey, if I can call it that, is that I do find the whole sector quite overwhelming. I think because people are trying to sell things, it makes it very cloudy. It's hard to kind of see what are the good things to pick out of your Instagram targeted adverts, and what's the complete nonsense. And I also think, I ultimately want to build better habits to improve my wellness. I mean, isn't that what we're all trying to do with meditation and sleeping? It's got a genuine purpose. So even if we can kind of improve understanding just a little bit, I'm here for it, as they say these days. And I'm
Yes.
curious to ask you as well about the obviously say misinformation and malintent in the wellness industry. I think also, as well as highlighting that, I think hopefully, well, a lot of our guests are some sort of genuine people, companies, practices that actually do good work for humanity. So as well as kind of calling out the nonsense and maybe poking a bit of fun at it, it's also about kind of pushing some genuinely good lights forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to have some good guests and things. And yeah, I know we said earlier that we would have people we're going to challenge. We're not going to have anyone on there we're going to, try and humiliate or anything like that. All our guests are going to be people that we feel very well aligned with and we can have good conversations with and learn things from. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I quite like the fact that the wellness, I mean, you said it to me in a text message, but the wellness industry is just so vast that it kind of makes me feel a little bit more empowered to go into it, because I know that no one could possibly cover every blade of grass. So it makes me feel that, if I'm researching a topic from scratch, maybe you're also researching that topic from scratch, and there's new research coming out all the time. So I think I'm kind of feel a little bit more empowered by the fact that it's impossible to be an expert on all of it, although I know you profess to be.
Yeah, I mean, I am an expert in a very small field. I mean, in breathwork, I think it's fair to say I'm an expert in
No,
conscious
you
connected
are. You are.
breathwork. Given
Let
that
me just state that episode
I
1,
am.
you are. I mean that.
Okay, good. I have read every single academic paper ever published on conscious connected breathwork. It took me 3 years, but that is what a PhD is. It's about becoming an expert. And yeah, I think, one of the ways I think I can help people, one of the reasons why people ask me questions on Instagram and things is because I don't just get my information from Netflix documentaries or Instagram or TikTok. It's because I actually enjoy reading academic papers. I have a subscription to things like examine.com where they do research reviews. And yeah, I'm a little bit more evidence-based than your average Instagram influencer.
And I think that leads on to, in terms of the format, I think we're going to produce links to articles or key articles that are sourced in the podcast, and basically references that are brought up by, excuse me, our guests, so that you don't have to kind of spend as long as we will researching stuff. We will just signpost you to the good bits.
Yeah, exactly. We're here to save you time.
Yeah. And so when to expect it? I think, is it fair to say expect the unexpected, or weekly? Or
yeah, exactly. Keep them guessing. That's what the audience like. They like
we
to be
haven't
kept
discussed
guessing. Yeah. Yeah, we have discussed it. I think the goal is one episode a week, seasons at a time. So we'll do several at a time and then probably take some breaks or a break to record and then come back stronger with feedback from our guests and our listeners and continuing to grow. We definitely have an ambition to avoid pod fade. Pod fade is supposedly where you get bored of doing a podcast after a while, like most people do. Apparently, if you make it past 21 episodes, this is a rough statistic, around 20 episodes, you're in like the top 99%, 1% of all podcasters in history, because most people don't get past that 20 mark.
Amazing.
So we're going to do 21 and then call it a day.
Absolutely, we're doing 21. In fact, for our 21st, I think I should, so it should be said, by the way, Rich, you are in Walnut Creek, California. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah. I am in London, central London. So for our 21st episode, I reckon we try and do it together. I'm coming over to the States, so let's try and be together for that one. And we'll drink loads of champagne as the top 0.1% of podcasters, did you say? Perfect.
Yeah, we'll be in the 1%. Yeah, I think so.
All right. Yeah. So, okay, that's when to expect it. How do we find it? How do we
How do we find
How
it?
do they
Well,
find it?
they'll find it on podcasts, all good podcast hosting platforms and some rubbish ones, as they used to say on Soccer AM. That's an old reference for you there. One for the
So
kids.
Apple Music.
So it's going to be Apple Music, Spotify. We're going to upload it to YouTube as well, video stuff, and we'll be putting out reels on our social media as well. And I really want it to be quite interactive. Like I said, I get a lot of messages on Instagram and things like that. I like them. I'm pretending I'm cool and I don't want them. No, keep sending me messages. Send me more messages.
That
Ask me
actually
questions.
leads me on to my next point, which is social media. You're a bit more of a social media presence than I am, the breath geek. But I think it's fair to say we'll try and engage on all the normal channels. And if the audience is half as nice as they were on Rich's last podcast appearance, we will be only too happy to engage. So let's give a bit of flavour about how that went, Rich. Give us some context.
Yeah, right. So here I am. I'm on a podcast talking about my stuff that I'm an expert in, like EMFs.
And that was electromagnetic frequencies.
Yes, that's right. So I'm talking about them. I'm telling you about how to mitigate them. And this is a colleague, a guy. Maybe we'll have him on. He's called the Conscious Founder. Mm-hmm. And he clipped this 90-second portion of me talking about EMF and put it up on TikTok. I don't have a TikTok account. I've never been on there. But then after a few weeks when they published it, I got an email from them saying, "Hey, your video is really blowing up on TikTok. You might want to go check it out."
Oh God, what does that mean?
I went in
there. Is that number of views? Is that shares?
I think
how
for
does that
viral, work? Yeah. It just means getting a lot of attention. So I think maybe it got like 40,000 views and then a few hundred comments. So I don't know what there are like criteria for what's like viral. I don't think it's classed as viral, but let's say they said it was blowing up. It got a lot of attention, a lot more attention than some of their other stuff, basically. And yeah, the comments were not really that much about the EMF.
As luck would have it, I have gone on to the comments, and I wonder if you could just sort of respond to my favourite 4 comments from a variety of people.
Sure.
I don't know what you were talking about here, but Zane said, just Zane, life is too short to do all of this. Does that mean anything to do with wellness, or what were you talking about? Can you give us a bit? Zane's obviously a bit fed up of that. Your advice. What were you talking about?
Yeah, so I was saying things like wear wired headphones instead of earbuds because of the radiation that goes in through your brain there. I was also saying I was using an EMF shielded fanny pack or bum bag, if you like, and turning my Wi-Fi off at night. Nothing drastic. Things that take maybe 1 to 2 seconds to put on headphones and to turn the Wi-Fi off. I don't know how much time this guy's got left. It doesn't sound like he's got many years left on him if he hasn't got a few seconds to turn his Wi-Fi off.
Yeah, it sounds like if we're thinking someone's getting way too, if what they're describing looks like it's going to take forever, too many life adjustments, too much of an imposition, we can just go back to Zane and just say, look, life is too short to do all of this. Second comment.
Don't worry about it, mate.
Josh Oscar. He also has a receding hairline and a ponytail. So basically, he's an apprentice groomer.
He is right about the receding hairline.
Rich is my best looking friend. I'm way less good looking than Rich. I'm going to get absolutely mullered here. That is fucking savage.
Yeah, it was harsh. I don't know how the link between receding hairline, ponytail gets conflated with paedophilia or grooming, but certainly I do have. It's not even a ponytail. It's a man bun. It's different. The tail is long, like a horse's tail, like a pony's tail. The receding hairline. Sorry, I've got a receding hairline. Do I apologise for that?
I'm not even sure you did. Look, Josh Oscar, if you're listening, please be kind and have a beer and go and do something you want to do, because you obviously don't want to engage in anything that we're interested in. So that's Josh Oscar dealt with. We've got 40 nuggets, 40 nuggets, not 14, 40 nuggets. I don't know what you were talking about here. I line the inside of my woolly hat with tinfoil. Works a treat. What? You got to help me here. What's
So
happening here?
that I think it's from a fictional book about a guy who thought the government were listening to his thoughts and aliens were listening to his thoughts. So he created a tinfoil hat to block the the radio signals that were going into his brain. And so now anyone who wants to poo-poo or ignore the scientifically proven consequences of too much radiation, just say, yeah, that's a tinfoil hat thing. And this stuff is like, I feel like one of the biggest problems of people's, the average midwits ability is they can't see anything but black and white. It's either EMFs are completely useful and have no consequences whatsoever, or they're completely harmful and we should never use Bluetooth, we should never use Wi-Fi, when the truth is somewhere in the middle. And the truth is also very subjective. Some people are much more sensitive to EMF. Some people have much bigger pools of antioxidants that can deal with the reactive oxygen species that EMFs have been shown to create in people.
Yeah.
And it's about balancing your circumstances with your lifestyle, as well as balancing the convenience. So for me, sometimes I do wear Bluetooth headsets. Some biohackers are going to be really offended by that. When I'm in the gym, I think the damage from me getting so annoyed at having wireless headphones when I'm working out, wired headphones, as it wired headphones, as I drop it for the 15th time trying to do, a snatch or a clean and jerk, this cortisol is probably worse than the Bluetooth going into my brain for a few minutes. And with EMF, just like everything else, the devil is in the dose. It's about distance to the EMF, it's about duration, and it's about potency. So don't just be black and white. Who was it? Oscar something? Josh Oscar.
It was actually that was 40 nuggets. 40 nuggets. 40 nuggets.
40 bloody nuggets.
40 bloody nuggets. Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, if you it's not, as you say, it's a do what makes you feel comfortable, and each their own, as they say. Well, we've got one more, and this is from Bob. So just Bob. The TikTok, you don't have to have a longer username. I mean, Bob feels like that. Anyway,
maybe he was an early adopter.
I think you were saying, I actually watched this bit. It was quite an interesting point, basically saying that you limit your exposure to EMFs. An easy way to do that is if you're at home or something and you've got your phone on loudspeaker, just move it a little bit away from your head. Fairly non-controversial. Bob, people that have conversations on loudspeaker are some of the worst creatures available. Not around. Available.
Yeah.
Bob is not having that at all.
All right, Bob. Listen to this. Listen to this, Bob. So there's something called the inverse square law, Bob, if that is your real name. Inverse square law, where radiation drops off proportionally to the distance away from the source of radiation. If you have your phone up to your head, you are getting a lot more radiation. Whereas if you take it about 4 foot away from your head, you're getting rid of about 90% of that radiation. So by speaking on loudspeaker, when the phone is pumping out the most radiation, which is when you're on a call, you are reducing your harm from this type of thing. So, Bob, you don't have to do loudspeaker when you're, in a class or you're at work and people can hear you. You can do it at home if you like. You don't have to do it where it's going to annoy people.
I think you put Bob in his place there, hit him with a big old chunk of science, but I wager that he'll probably write similar stuff when. I hope they do all listen, because it'd be nice to engage with them. If they are if they're sympathetic and kind like these lot, we're going to have a lot of fun getting to know the audience better, aren't we?
Yes, that's right. And it does remind me of that Ricky Gervais joke, the one about guitar lessons that supposedly what's his name stole.
James Corden did steal this joke. Yeah, he pinched it on one of his opening monologues.
it applies to people on the internet. It applies to people listening to podcasts, and it applies to wellness industry information. So the joke was, sometimes, let's say you walk into the village square and you see a piece of paper, advertising guitar lessons, and they have those little bits of, paper that you cut off to get the phone number, and then you can call up if you want guitar lessons. And Ricky Gervais does this impression where
And
he
James Corden.
says, this person, hey, and James Corden, yeah, not at the same time, so separate times. Call up the person advertising guitar lessons, say, hello, yeah, you selling guitar lessons? Yeah, yes, I am. I don't want any. Slams the phone down. It's like, why are you getting angry about someone's advertising guitar lessons just because you don't want any? If I give someone advice like Andy, and it's about Andy, for you in particular, your particular circumstances are you need to do more ice baths because it's really going to help with the inflammation that you've been creating from playing your five-a-side football. Maybe someone else doesn't need to do ice baths. Maybe that information is good information for 90% of people, but you're in the 10%, and that is not necessarily for you. Don't get angry at me because their advice isn't relevant to you.
You've been on a couple of rants this episode. It bodes well for future ones. I want you to get worked up, hot under the collar, fire in the belly. Which leads us on to what I was going to say as well, which is that a lot of this stuff, I mean, if you actually did every practice to improve your well-being in a given day, I fear you would run out of time, even if you worked or rested for 24 hours. So I think the disclaimer for all of this is that we're going to promote things that might be good for you, probably good for you, but we're not necessarily going to ram it down your throat and you have to do it. And you have to wake up at 5 and do 4 hours of working out, ice bath, meditation, journaling. It's kind of, pick what you like, leave what you don't, as you said.
Yeah, take it as you like, and bear in mind that this is my obsession. This is my hobby. I love this stuff. I do it because I'm interested in it. I don't do all of it just because I absolutely have to. I do it because it's my career as well. Like, people, pay me to do things and advise on these types of things. If you are, an accountant or a police officer or things, you probably don't need to do as many things as I do. And I don't want you to feel guilty about that. I don't want you to feel bad because you don't have the time or the finances or whatever to not do those things. What I will request, though, this is my biggest bugbear. Whenever I tell people about what I do, they're always they roll their eyes and go like, "Oh, yeah. How do you tell me that you don't have kids without telling me you don't have kids? You tell me about your morning routine, or how do you tell me you don't have a 9-to-5 job without telling me you have a 9-to-5 job?"
That sounds like something 40 Nuggets would say.
No, it's not something is said directly to me, but fine. If you don't have time, fine. Also, a lot of people do have the time. It's just they rather watch Netflix, spend time on Instagram and TikTok, compulsively shop, go drinking, go to restaurants. I don't do many of those things. I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't go out to restaurants. I don't go to bars. I don't go shopping. Like, I prefer to use my time for my hobby, which is wellness industry. Don't you say to me, I don't have time, when I could just say, well, I can see your Netflix account. You spent 4 hours binge watching that documentary or whatever it was. You do have the time. It's just you would rather do other things.
Well, for those of you who are worried that Rich sounds a little bit like too professional, let me assure you, I will be going to bars. I will be going to restaurants. I will be hungover on occasion. And I'll tell you what that's like as well. And we'll have a little bit of a balance in that regard. Rich, I want to get people excited about the upcoming episodes. So what can we say about who is joining us? When are they joining us? What sort of topics are we going to cover? Let's give them a little bit of a flavour for that.
I'm trying to do a drum roll. It's not going to work. Oh, come on, Riverside Studios.
We'll edit a drum roll in. Or I could just go...
do it.
Is that one?
Oh, it's loading. It's loading. Rubbish. All right. Oh, yeah, we've got these amazing guests. Oh, my goodness. These guys and girls. And They're going to be the best. Yeah. So who have we got? We've got James Dowler off of Breathe with James. The man, the Evening Standard, put on their front page with the question, can this man save us from our COVID-19 anxiety? And we
Yes,
will be
he
asking him
can.
whether he did save us. We'll ask him when he comes on, did you save everyone? Like the
I'm
Evening
actually
Standard
exceptionally excited to meet James
question.
because I went for coffee with someone who, and I told them a little bit about what we're doing, and they said, "Who are you getting on?" And I said, "James Dowler," and she said, "He's the nicest guy I've ever met." I thought, wow, that's a pretty good start. So even if we don't agree, he's going to be nice, and we like nice people. So I'm looking
Yes.
forward to meeting him immensely.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's great. I don't
Oh,
know.
you don't like him?
I
That's
think what?
interesting. Oh, okay,
Well,
no,
I'll
that's
tell
no,
you.
that's
I'll tell you. No, I definitely like him. But
good.
one of the reasons he's going to be coming on is to be talking a little bit about the problems in the wellness industry and the breathwork industry. And he, like me, thinks that there needs to be more done to regulate the breathwork industry. And yeah, we're going to get his opinion on some of the
Cool.
unscrupulous practices, dodgy breath workers, dodgy breathwork teacher training schools. So some of the people he's going to be talking about probably don't think he's that nice.
Well, I will say for that episode, I probably will feel a little bit intimidated and like I'm just sort of dead wood because you've got two of the breathwork gurus meeting of minds. What the hell am I going to be doing? Am I just going to be breathing, listening, breathing, taking it all in?
Well, you're going to be giving the perspective of the client.
Oh, I
Effectively, you're
get
going to
it.
be this time
Layman's terms.
put
Why don't
into
you just call me
breathwork
layman's terms? We'll put it all in layman's terms.
because your name's Andy.
We'll put it in
I
Andy's
can call you
terms.
Layman if you like.
Yeah, I might as
Andrew
well be, to
Layman.
be honest.
Sounds is that yeah.
I'm gonna swat up. I'm not
Is
gonna
there
read
a
all the
good sense of
studies.
Layman?
I'm gonna swat up. I'm not gonna read all of the
Well,
breathwork studies, but I'm gonna do my research and I'm gonna come in hot with some fizzing facts and insight. And James Dowler's gonna be like, wow. I thought I was talking to the breath.
wow.
Which one of you's the breath geek? That's what he's gonna say.
Yeah, that's what he'll say. Yeah.
Anyway, who else
He'll
have we
say,
got?
yeah. Anyway, we've got Mike Richards, aka the Traveling Ape, just released his book on. He's a geopolitical consultant and meditation teacher to the Houses of Parliament.
Oof.
So yeah, he's going to be talking about meditation, traveling, a bit of psychology, that kind of thing. He's travelled to nearly every country in the world. So yeah, he's
155
certainly
out
well
of
travelled.
195, to be precise. I'm currently reading his book,
Yeah,
and
well,
it is
yeah,
very
me too.
entertaining as well. He's obviously a funny guy. So looking forward to him as
He is.
well.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. Then we have Alex Manos, who's the founder of Health Path. So he's kind of nutritionist. He has this company where they do a lot of testing for things like biomarkers, testosterone, stool tests, and things like that. So we're moving into the world of nutrition slightly with Alex. I've been on
Wow.
his podcast a couple of times, so returning the favor there. And then we have Dr. Warren Bradley from Hydro. So Hydro is this new company that's created easy to do blood flow restriction bands. So blood flow restriction is this type of like bodybuilding technique where normally you would like wrap a hose pipe or a rubber band around a muscle and you restrict the blood flow, and that enables you to tear the muscle more quickly and rebuild it more effectively with using lesser weights or lighter weights. And they are working with people like Hull City Football Club, the England Rugby Sevens team. So yeah, they've got a lot of access to some of the world's top athletes. So it'll be really interesting to hear about this new technology that they have
Amazing.
sort of like perfected and made it easy for your average person to do occlusion training.
Fantastic. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to learn more, that's for sure. So hopefully other people will
And
be as
we're
well.
also going to be having your mate as well, Georgia Ems as well. What can you say about Georgia?
Georgia, she's very, very cool. She's a yoga instructor, and she's also bringing wellness into businesses and trying to sort of formulate bespoke packages to improve employee well-being, which I think is actually very important. I think I can't speak for America, but in this country, you hear a lot about, we care about our employees' well-being, and we're really on top of our employees' well-being, and you actually find out they don't. I don't know what that actually means. They don't put any substance to that. So I think it's really interesting that she's working with companies to actually put some meaning behind those words. And I don't know if well-being washing is a term, but I think there's a little bit of that going on, a little bit of like virtue signaling with companies. And I think it's great that Georgia's actually trying to kind of put these, put some really cool programs in place to actually improve employee well-being. And I think that's great. Kudos.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Looking forward to having her on.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I think.
All right then. Yeah. Should we tell people where to find us? How do they find you, Andy?
Oh, how to find me? I was going to say we have told them how to find us. They can find me at Andy Esam on Instagram. Where can they find you, Rich Blake?
Also on Instagram, thankfully very much. Yes, at The Breath Geek on Instagram. And yeah, we've already said the podcasts are going to be going up on YouTube. We'll be doing videograms for Instagram. We're going to be on Apple and all the top podcast
all the good things.
sites,
I'm going to find myself
subscribe, follow.
Like, subscribe, follow, yeah, and thank you very much for listening. I'm going to find myself a really cool handle, because if you're at The Breath Geek, I feel like I should be like the Wellness Wanderer.
Wonder Woman.
I'll work on it.
Wonder Wellness Man.
Wanderlust. Yeah. Wellness Lust. I will. No, I'll think of something cool. And Andy Esam that's my full name. It's not very exciting. But anyway, yeah, thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you in a while.
We'll see you very soon, hopefully, right? Right.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.